Good morning and welcome back to the next episode of the Behind The Leazes Podcast, the official podcast on the local TV network for Newcastle United. And I must say, I think we are all a little bit frustrated after yesterday's performance. Definitely a game we should have won. Talking, all the chances that we had, some massive, massive chances. We've got the usual suspects here. The gang is back together, the Fab Four. I was thinking of good names to call this all last night. So I'm going to go with the Fab Four. We've got Andy, we've got Rob, and we've got Adam Bleston, who travelled all the way to London and back to watch the game yesterday. Andy, I'll come up to you, mate. How are you doing, pal?
I'm good, mate. Just another weekend of watching Brucey Baller. Thank God the Grand Prix is on today, so I can just forget it happened.
I know, not a good weekend for sport either. Of course, we had the boxing last night. Anthony Joshua not winning, but that's a completely different time. Rob, how are you doing, mate? I saw you were on the dark fruits already this morning.
It's not dark fruits, it's blackcurrant juice. But yes, I'm doing okay. I actually got to watch a team win yesterday because I didn't go to Newcastle. I ended up going to watch the Gateshead game and they won 3-0. So got to see my first win of the season there. So yeah, I'm doing all right. Obviously, Newcastle's frustrating as ever, but no doubt we'll talk about that today.
Of course, I mean, thankfully you did manage to see a win. Adam, coming to you next. I must say, you're looking knackered. It must have been a long day for you. How are you doing, pal?
Yes, I'm knackered. And as I said before, frustration, I think, is an understatement how I felt yesterday after watching that. I mean, I've never seen a team have more chances all my life and still not win a game of football. It's honestly embarrassing. It really is. But, I mean, we played well, but are we going to do that week in, week out? I highly doubt it. So, yeah, huge punch drop yesterday.
Yeah, I think a massive. It did feel like a loss, I must say, especially with the chances that we had. And, that massive chance at the end of the game as well, which we will talk about once again. I said to people 60 minutes of that game, I thought, we dominated. We definitely deserved to get, at least 1-2 more goals in the time that we were doing well. Andy, I'll come to you. After watching the game, what did you think of both teams' performances, and do you think that was 2 points dropped rather than just a point gained?
Yeah, it totally is. 2 points dropped there. It should have been over and done with in the first half. It was grim watching them come back into a game they didn't deserve to be in. Watford, just a tin pot club, one of them clubs that comes up, goes down, proper yo-yo club, same as West Brom, clubs I cannot stand. I thought the fans were, I don't know, Adam, I don't know what it was like for you inside the ground, but I thought they were absolutely rubbish and only sing when you win sort of thing. But Saw as well, I don't know where the bookings were for simulation. He was on the deck more than he was standing up. But it was frustrating. I think you can't put too much on Murphy. Yes, God knows what he's trying to do, and I think I have cursed him by saying I thought he was going to be my player of the season. But you do need to finish them chances. But the game should have been put to bed a long time before that. We shouldn't have been relying on a last-minute winner.
Yeah, we had plenty more chances before that, especially in the first half. I've never seen, I think, more one-on-ones squandered during a 90-minute game of football, especially in the first half. St. Maximin, he could have chipped Ben Foster, the keeper, in the first half. Instead, he tried to take him on, and then he passed it on to Sean Longstaff, who hit the ball over the bar. I'm not going to blame Longstaff for that miss at all. The ball was behind him at that point. St. Maximin really should have hit the ball before he got to Foster. Rob, coming to you next, pal. What do you think of the game as a whole, and just how frustrated are you knowing that we really should have won that game?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I was over watching Gateshead play yesterday, so I didn't see the full game, but I've watched all the highlights. I've seen all of the reaction, and to be honest, I'll be lying if I say I was surprised. We're just in this rut at the minute, and I think a lot of the time when you're down and things aren't going your way, it's really tough to just kind of pull that win out of the bag. And I think yesterday was the perfect example of that. As you say, Murphy's chance at the end on a different day, you like to think 9 times out of 10 he puts that away. St. Max, who's been the absolute talisman of our team, one-man team, if you could define one, is basically the way we play at the minute with him up front. One-on-one with Foster pretty much, and for me, he takes one touch and I'm thinking bang it bottom corner, but instead he tries to do a step over, takes it around 2 more players. And I think by the time he passes it to Sean Longstaff, he's pretty much, the chance is almost gone. So again, I mean, Foster had a good game. He made some good saves for them, but really, as you say, when we're having 20 shots on goal or whatever it was, you've got to be scoring more than one of them.
Definitely, I think I'm looking forward to seeing that cycling goalkeeper vlog with all the saves that he's made against us. And, I've not actually seen one this season. I don't even know if he's allowed to do them in the Prem. But yeah, a very, very frustrating game. I thought there was one player who stood out quite well. It's actually, I'll be honest, the first Newcastle game I've seen this season. I've been working quite a lot whilst the games were on, so I've not been able to see them. But has Joe Willock been playing that well every game this season, or is he just come out and played well this one game?
I wouldn't say he's definitely. Well, the problem with Willock, and I think we all know it, is that because he was so good when he left us, that he had quite a high bar to come in and set to. So for me, I don't think he's necessarily had the impact that we would have wanted. So it is good to see him getting a lot more of the ball. I know we'll pass the ball to St. Max all the time because everyone knows he's the man who's actually going to do something. I think of anything, Willock's been quite quiet at the start of the season, so it's good to see him on the ball. I mean, those are the attacking players. Those are the guys who want to get more of the ball. So to see him kind of doing a little bit more this weekend was definitely a positive.
Yeah, definitely a positive sign. Hopefully a sign of things to come. Adam, I'll come to you next. Of course, you were at the game. First of all, describe what the crowd was like and just how frustrated you are as well after that game.
As Andy was saying before, the crowd was pretty bad. Only started chanting, obviously, once they scored. But yeah, I'm extremely frustrated from the game. In terms of Joe Willock, though, the second Newcastle changed the formation and played a fullback once, he actually came in the game a lot more. I mean, I don't know how Sherlock's figured that one out, but I mean, yeah, everyone could have taught you that Willock's going to be much better on a fullback than a five-back. I mean, it's the same with the rest of the team, but yeah, I'm just frustrated. I'm ticked off. There's no other way to describe it, really. That team just proved to me yesterday how reliant we are on Callum Wilson scoring goals, because without him, no one can take chances. It's that simple. The only chance we scored was just an absolute screamer by Longstaff, which in another day he wouldn't have scored. So, yeah, we just can't take chances without Wilson. It's that simple. And it's a problem because, for a fact, when he comes back, he's just going to get injured again. So, yeah, we need to start being reliant on our players. But unfortunately, at this football club, we didn't spend the money, and that team will not play good week in, week out. It's that simple. So when we do play well, we've got to get the 3 points, which we didn't do yesterday again.
You mentioned the four at the back. It did seem to work for quite a while in this game. Definitely took Watford by surprise, I must say. Andy, do you reckon it's a quite good breath of fresh air that we are starting to play with a four at the back rather than a five?
Well, how long have we been saying it for, boys? It's every week we've said a 4-2-3-1, something like that. It's screaming for the way we go forward. To be in that formation, bloody surprise, we do, and we score and look like, well, maybe scoring more if we had players that could put a ball in the back of the net. But I have the same mind as well. Sean Longstaff is a breath of fresh air when he's not playing with Shelby. Shelby is quite clearly the problem in our midfield. I think when he plays, he's obviously lazy. I think that obviously comes across in training as well, from what I've heard. But Longstaff was great. Like he bossed the middle for us, which allowed Willock to come forward, and that's what we've been needing. Someone who can hold the ball in the middle of the park, which allows Willock to get in the positions which he was getting in, to then maybe get which will see him get a couple of goals in. But like Adam was saying as well, losing Wilson, surely that would scream to like the likes of Dwight Gill to start get your foot forward, go in, try and get in these chances, put your name about, because like Adam says, Wilson is injury prone. Gill wants to get, if he wants more football, if he's looking to get another move, he needs to improve and needs to impress. But I just think everyone's a bit just after that thinking we're going to get the win, and then it's just not coming again. Like we said this last week, where is the win going to come from? Because I don't think we'll get it at Wolves next week either.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a deflating performance. I can understand if, some of the players' heads would drop after that. But I completely agree about Sean Longstaff. I thought the forward runs he was making, for example, you just wouldn't see it in Shelby anymore. Of course, Shelby does like to play a long ball. But, allowing Willock to go forward, even having him as support, he managed to get that goal today. It is a big breath of fresh air. I think we do need to look at that midfield department with Isaac Hayden possibly staying back as well. People are saying he was playing like a centre-back during this game. I'm not sure what position he was actually playing yesterday, but, it was it was really good to see Sean Longstaff, I think, getting forward and, of course, getting his goal. Rob, coming to you next, mate. We've mentioned Joe Willock. Dwight Gale is a player that, he came on. It's his, I believe, first appearance this season. Do you think he made any sort of impact at all?
I mean, I think by the time he kind of came on late, he didn't have too much time. I mean, it's the whole thing with the striker situation is just crazy. And again, I know we don't want to spend money and do this and do that, but you look at, well, again, reliving the past here, but Rondon going to Everton for free, and there are players around there that we could have looked at that just completely ignored. We brought in Andy Carroll 2 years ago, and the idea was that, in the words of Steve Bruce, we needed striker backup. So at that time we had Wilson, Gale, and we brought Andy Carroll in. So you telling me 2 years later that we don't need backup anymore? Because that's basically what he meant. He's let one go and he's not replaced them. Now saying that we do have the backup and we don't. And Gale's clearly not in favour. He's the only fit striker at the club and he still isn't getting played. So that just shows how desperate we are to find some backup there. I mean, we can't do anything about it now. All we've got to do is wait till January. I think St. Max is, for what it's worth, is doing a fantastic job in a position he shouldn't be playing in my opinion. But giving the ball to St. Max and expecting him to run around 10 players and score every game is just not the way to play a game of football. So for me, I would be tempted to just give Gale some game time to just see what he can do. I think 7 minutes at the end of a game when it's already, well, I mean, Carl Darlow's getting booked on the 91st minute for time wasting. So that just shows where we were in that game in terms of wanting to try and get a last minute goal. I think, thank God we've got St. Max, and God only knows if he picks up a knock, because I think we'd be really up the river if that happened.
Yeah, I was going to mention actually the yellow card that Darlow got. I was really surprised to see us time wasting, when we played so well and when it was 1-1. And after, the last 10 minutes as well, I think the commentator said it was going to be a grandstand finish, which I guess it was. But, so frustrating to see us running the clock down because, like we saw, we definitely deserved 2 more points in that game. And I'm going to come to you next. I must say, I love Alan St. Maximin, but I got really frustrated with him at times yesterday because he loves to run and he sometimes loves to pass. There are definitely situations where he should pass a bit more often than he should. Do you agree with that, or do you think, he should just dribble a bit more?
Well, yeah, we've seen instances throughout the season anyway. I mean, against West Ham, he did really go, I think, when he lost the ball, and he's just trying to run around literally on midfield. So, yeah, he is going to do that at times, but again, he's literally our best player, so I can't exactly slag him off for it. But yeah, the only problem is he's got 10 clowns in the team to pass to, so that's probably why he doesn't want to do it so much. So, yeah, that's kind of the reality we're at the minute. But in terms of Maximin yesterday, I thought he had a pretty good game. Yeah, I know you got the assist for Longstaff, but more Longstaff actually doing the work there. But yeah, and in the game itself, though, we created a lot of chances, more than enough chances to win the game. So in terms of that, I was happy with how the wingers and obviously midfield were linking together, but unfortunately, we just didn't take those chances. And obviously, St. Max did miss a couple themselves. So yeah, it's very disappointing. But Wolves next week, no, our team actually struggling to pick up points. So I mean, someone's going to break a duck in that game, I imagine. So that's how I hope it's us.
Yeah, of course, Wolves away from home next weekend. We'll talk about that towards the end of the podcast. Andy, I'm going to come to you next. Of course, Watford they'd signed a couple of players who used to play for Newcastle, one being Danny Rose, the other being Musa Sissoko. I'm sure they did get warm receptions from both sets of fans, definitely. But, do you think it's... I always personally think it's weird seeing, a former player on another team. What do you think about, like, them sort of situations, like seeing a former player playing for the opposite team?
Those two, I'm glad they do play for the opposite team, because Sissoko, honestly, we were all just glad to see the back of him. Honestly, the biggest robbery I've ever seen in my life is how we got £30 million for him. Danny Rose was woeful when we brought him in. His attitude stinks, which was clearly shown in the Tottenham documentary, if everyone's seen it. So what was it? He turned his phone off when he seen Everton were interested on that deadline day, and suddenly it came back on when Spurs were after him. I think his attitude when we had him stunk. So the two players I am glad to see on the opposite team. Obviously, the other players I've seen, Ben Arthur's got to move to maybe a Turkish team, so there's loads of videos coming up about Ben Arthur at the minute, and I miss him more and more every day. Just imagine him and Maxi playing in the same team, but just, yeah, there's not many players apart from Wijnaldum, maybe, at the minute that I'm really bothered that have left the club, and maybe that I would be bothered about them playing against. But obviously, Wijnaldum's not going to be a problem because we're not going to play PSG anytime soon. So, yeah, it's not something I'm too worried about at the minute.
Well, you never know. Might play PSG eventually. I remember what you mean as well in the Tottenham documentary. Did he not sort of really want to go to Barcelona instead of Newcastle or like Everton or something like that? And all of a sudden he ends up in Newcastle. I get what you mean. You know, his attitude did stink. You know, looking towards next week, we'll talk about it a bit more in depth towards the end of the podcast. But Brog, would you stick with that four at the back for the next game? You know, potentially the rest of the season as well.
I think we've got to, as Andy said. I mean, we've been saying this for forever. The fact that, and again, I mean, we start the season with 5 at the back and we concede, what was it, 8 goals in 3 games or something crazy. I mean, if playing 5 at the back is meant to make us more defensive, that's clearly not true. I think having the likes of Hayden playing as a holding midfielder is just as good, or if not better, than having 5 at the back. It gives us more freedom moving forward when we do need them, and makes us a little less static because, I mean, moving from Murphy, who was hoping to play that wing-back role, it didn't work, and now having Manquillo, who's an actual right-back, I think also is a big help. I mean, going at the Wolves game, I think we've got to stay the same. Unfortunately, we haven't got too many other options, if I'm being honest. You know, you're looking at the bench. I mean, yes, Murphy, I think he's probably the one standout player who I'd like to possibly see come on the pitch. Gale, maybe give him a bit longer in a game. But after that, you know, Hendrick, Kraft. I mean, Fraser, I would love to see come on and do something, but he's not in favour and he's injury prone as well. So to answer your question, I think we've got anyone else to play in that 11. I think the big problem for us at the minute, and I said it at the start of the podcast, is but just things aren't in our favour at the moment. The manager's inspiring no confidence. The players just aren't getting the look of the grain in the games. I mean, when you win in games, I feel like it's almost like things go your way. Those half chances that just hit the post and go in. Where in that moment where things are just hitting the post and are going out, or the keeper's just getting a fingertip to a save, we need to try and build some confidence and get into a place where things are actually going our way. And the problem is, I think, as I say, the negativity around the ground. I mean, the owner's not going anywhere, so you've got to look somewhere else as how we can change things. The players aren't playing for the manager, and it's Bruce again. As I say, we had the same players under Rafa, and he managed to work a tune. Bruce is doing nothing. The fans aren't happy. The players aren't happy, and it's just going to continue this way until something changes. And as I say, unless it's Bruce, I don't know what else it could be. A new owner, but that's not happening anytime soon. So it's going to have to be something else.
You said Emil Kraft, you said Jeff Hendrick, and I think me and Andy both just collectively shook our heads because that's like, you think that's our squad depth. It's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
It's
and
crazy.
It just all goes back to that dreadful summer. And you know, I was thinking about that statement a couple of days ago that they put out, and I just thought, how embarrassing, you know,
Yeah.
How absolutely embarrassing. Anyone who is viewing, be sure to put your questions into the chat. We'd love to know what your opinions are on the game. Adam, I'll come to you next. You know, once again, looking towards the next game, you know, players like St. Maximin, Dwight Gale, playing maybe 2 up front. Do you think that would make sense?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, that's kind of Newcastle's been mainly playing, but the only thing is, when St. Maximin has the ball, he's making all the space. Jordan knows drifts off to the wing, so who's in the middle? There's nobody in the box. So, like, there's no options half the time for him. So, I don't know. I think I would start Jordan again. I know he doesn't do an awful lot and he's terrible in front of goal, but I do like the way he links into play. I think his actual build-up play and the fact that he just lumped the ball 60 yards every time. Gale's never going to win the ball, so Jordan is someone that actually can take on centre-halves and try and win the ball in the air, but that's about it, really. I mean, he's a £40 million player. I'm just trying to squeeze stuff out of me. They're not going to get anything out of him. I mean, it's empty and it's that simple. He's not a player, is he? He's really not good enough for the Premier League, I have to say. But Again, no, Steve Bruce has got the safest job in world football. There's absolutely no way this club's going to sack him. Despite how rubbish we've been playing, we're still not in the bottom three. I mean, it's mental that 5 teams haven't won this season in the Premier League. I mean, I can only just laugh at that, to be honest. But yeah, in terms of Newcastle next game, we need to hit Wolves early. We need to hit them hard. But again, no, you know what's going to happen. We might take a lead in the game, but we're just going to sit back last half an hour, let the team come back anyway. We do it all the time. And Watford, honestly, even though they were rubbish yesterday, they nearly won the game thanks to that VAR thing. But I mean, honestly, I would have been absolutely stunned if we lost that match. But again, we just always will sit back because the team panics. The team can't keep a hold of the lead. And I mean, it just stinks of negativity and stinks of the ambition we have this club. It's not good enough. It's that simple. We are bigger than what we're doing.
You mentioned the VAR decision. What was the vibe around the crowd when, you know, that second goal went in for Watford, and especially in the way end? What was sort of going through everyone's heads? What was everyone saying?
Just disbelief, really. But I don't know what was going on at first, because when I got disallowed, the Watford fans started shouting, even though it literally got disallowed. So I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, obviously we went into realisation, kicked in, the Newcastle fans started celebrating. But really, I was just stunned. I was absolutely lost for words. Sissoko was smashed at the goalkeeper and the rebound to win in. I mean, if that happened, I'd have been raging because I hate Sissoko so much. I wouldn't have him being fouled to a winner. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we didn't lose, I guess. But I mean, we really should have won that game. That Murphy chance at the end was absolutely shocking by him.
Yeah, it was absolutely shocking, and you know, we'll talk about that Murphy chance now. Just how I know, you know, the pressure's on and you've got to make a decision really, really quickly, but it just was the wrong decision. It really, really was the wrong decision. Andy, will come to you on this one. Just how frustrating was it, knowing that there's probably about a 90% chance of scoring that and he's still missed?
Like I say, though, the game should have been dead and buried way before that. Maximin should have put his in, but probably because it's Maximin, he won't get the same flack that Murphy gets. I think Murphy was in the exact same position Maximin was in. Both easy chances to take. They both just haven't taken them well. In terms of us going forward and having depth in attack, is it time to call up people from the under-23s? We've look at the players we've wasted in the past. Adam Armstrong, Ivan Toney, who's playing brilliant for Brentford. Adam Armstrong's playing great for Southampton. We've got Adam Wilson there, and at this rate, why not just get Santiago involved straight away? You know what I mean? Let him have a couple of games in the under-23s that he didn't goal, and just get him straight up. I mean, it's not like we're going to play Fulham in a cup every time soon, so won't be against them. Like I think we would love it to be, but just get him warmed in straight away, and if he's any good, just get him up, because there's nothing else going forward. Gale's shown his lack of interest, really, so I think Adam Wilson, he's been at the club for years as well. He deserves a chance to maybe come up, and it's a shame that we haven't got any more cup games till January, really, and hopefully it will be against a lower league opposition. One, to give us a better chance of going through, but two, to maybe give some of the under-23s an actual look in like they deserve. We've got Elliot Anderson coming back from injury. He was on the fringe of maybe getting in, so hopefully he can get involved when he's ready for it. But it's just, there is a lot of, we've got a very good nick of just wasting our academy players. So hopefully we can see some of them get involved with just how little depth we've got. And like we say, Kraft and Hendrick, if that's the quality we have got in depth, there's no reason for them not to get involved.
Yeah, you said Fulham. I think it's Fulham. That's how you say it. As well, just before we move on to a couple of headlines that I've seen, there was a new referee in our game all the way from Australia. Jarrett Gillett, he was called. I must say, he did love a yellow card. But Rob, what did you think of his performance in his first game in the Premier League?
As I say, I mostly watched the highlights because I didn't see the full game. From what I've heard, he wasn't great. Is that correct? I mean, what I did see from from some of the YouTube clips that were coming out before the game, he looked quite refreshing as a ref. And I mean, regardless of how he kind of did, one thing that I am starting to like a little bit more is that we're actually starting to hear a little bit more from the refs now. We've seen Mike Dean did a YouTube video with Tubes from Soccer AM playing golf, talking about VAR, and it's actually. And then before the start of the season on Sky Sports, the refs were also going on there and talking about the VAR and where it's going. And I mean, they all seem confident with it. I've still not sure I'm a fan, but what they were saying, it's here to stay, and all they can do is try and make it better. And it's similar with this ref that was on yesterday. I saw a couple of clips of him basically discussing decisions with the linesmen and how they were kind of creating those decisions. I mean, they definitely can't play that live in the stadium because everyone would have their lives, but to be able to kind of hear a little bit more and from what the refs are actually doing on the pitch and how they're making decisions, I think it's definitely a plus. I mean, as for this guy, from what I've heard, he wasn't great, but I'll have to let you guys tell me about that.
Oh, you, Mike, just kept going on. It's early in the morning, guys. Come on. I thought he was all right personally. I didn't think he gave any like stupid decisions away. You know, referees are always going to have maybe the odd one or two decisions, and he sort of.
I think he struggled to keep a hold on the game at times. Like I say, I don't know what the crack is with this booking for simulation. I don't know where that's gone. I mean, it's ever since Ronaldo's came back that suddenly players are diving all over again because the king of diving's back. I thought Saw definitely should have been booked at some point, and then the VAR check I think it was a VAR check for a possible penalty on Saw, and it was quite clear he just went to the ground to try and win a penalty. That's, in my eyes, booking straight away.
Yeah, I think it should be a booking, and they have been looking at it after the game at times. I remember a couple of seasons ago, Charlie Austin got a couple of games banned for things like simulation. But, you know, I think, you know, it's always going to take time to acclimatise to a new league. Of course, you know, we're not referees as much as we would love to be. But I thought he was all right personally. I thought maybe quite a few yellow cards, sorry. But I did think he was all right. So I'm going to move on to a little headline that I saw in the last few days, gents. And it's actually from Mike Ashley. And he said that he does expect the takeover to definitely go through by January 2022. And of course, there is, I believe, some court proceedings being live streamed in the next week or so in regards to the NUFC takeover. Adam, I'll come to you on this one, mate. You know, have you seen them headlines, and do you think, you know, he's actually talking a bit of sense here, or do you still think Ashley's full of it?
I just think it's just rubbish in general. I mean, it's just typical papers, typical journalists, or whatever. Even if Matt actually put it up himself, it's just not going to happen. I mean, it's really not going to happen. I can't see it happening at all this season. It's just Ashley's excuse of literally coming out and not having to spend money in the windows and not having to care about Steve Bruce. That's sort of his backup plan, really. But no, I don't rate it one bit. I don't rate it, sorry, but yeah, I don't really care. We really need to stay up this season. That's our priority, and I don't want any of this sort of take our background nonsense for it. But yeah, we've got to focus on that, really. But in terms of the takeover, I couldn't give one, to be honest. I know obviously there's the court live stream on Wednesday, like you said, but yeah, I'm not interested at all. I'm focused on staying up.
Andy, will you be tuning into that live stream for the takeover?
Yeah, hopefully you're going to be covering a story off a local TV on it. I mean, there's not, when it comes to business numbers and stuff, I mean, I'd like to pretend that I knew what was going on, but I really don't. I don't think there's a lot of people that don't. And I think there's a lot of people that have used that to an advantage on Twitter and try to say like, oh, this and that, and where on earth these people are getting these credible sources from, and it's just absolute garbage. So people have getting it gets people carried away and gives them hope. And again, going back to the Friday night football against Leeds, the bit with Gary Neville and Carragher on before that, there was a great discussion on hope. It's like, where is the hope around Newcastle at the minute? Now, I certainly think that will come back if the takeover was to go through, but I think that's at the backest of every. That's not a word. The furthest back in everyone's brain at the minute. Everyone just wants to see results happening on the pitch, but it's just, I think those two things are going to come hand in hand together when Mike Ashley eventually leaves this football club.
Yeah, I think if that's something that we just want, it's, you know, we've mentioned the word transparency a lot. Just, we want to know if it is going to happen or if it isn't going to happen. We don't want to be stuck in this sort of loop all the time. Yeah. Where, you know, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Because it's frustrating. And I think it really does hinder what happens at the club. I think the January transfer window, not the January transfer window, sorry, the summer transfer window is a massive sort of point to prove that, you know, it is really distracting. I think this January transfer window as well, you know, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but you just never know. It could be, one of them things where it's like, oh, he's just saying this so he doesn't have to spend any money in January. Rob, what do you rate of it?
I'm not sure anymore, to be honest. One thing I do know is that it's really tough as a Newcastle fan at the minute, to be honest, because I get everyone's kind of saying the same thing but saying it differently. I think Adam's dedication to going to the away games this season is phenomenal. But I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to wake up on a Saturday and you want to get excited and you want to support your football team and you want us to win. And it's really hard to do that when there's all of this noise in the background about a new owner supposedly coming in who might not be coming in, might actually won't spend any money. You feel like, should you be supporting the team when they're not giving the fans what they want, but that you want to because it's your team and you want to go to the games? And it's just such a headache all the time. I think with regard to the owner situation, and I mean, it's good to hear that something's happening, I guess, that at least there is some steps being taken in the right direction. My only worry is that part of me still thinks this is all just still one huge facade that Ashley's running with because he's still making money out of the club. And as long as he continues this process, you might get some money back off the Premier League if that's what he's trying to do. Or at the very least, he's still making millions of pounds off TV deals and spending no money here. I honestly think if he really wanted to sell, there must be another offer somewhere. I mean, we've been hanging on to this Saudi bid for years now. There's got to be someone else somewhere who's also got some money who would buy the club. You can't tell me that in all this time he's been trying to sell the club, he's had one offer from the Saudis. There's got to be someone else somewhere who wants to buy it. I mean, it's just ridiculous that we're still waiting on this one bid. Which again just makes me think that, is this real? Is it like where's the other bids? So yeah, as I say, it's a tough time to be a Newcastle fan, I've got to say.
It's very torrid, isn't it? I hate even thinking about it. Should we all just have a whip round and see if we can get £300 million or something? I'm sure we've got that in our back pocket.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I'd take Red Bull Newcastle United. To be honest, at this point, or Red Bull Newcastle has been mentally years gone, but it's deflating, and it's just you don't want to think about it. You want to think about the football. At the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, not the top business, which is sadly the way football's going at the minute. But like I say, Adam, like you said, Rob, the commitment he's making to the team, going away to every game, that's what we care about, the fans and what's going on the pitch.
You'd say you take Red Bull, but I don't want Max Verstappen come to our ground, I'll be honest. Let's move on to talk about just the next game in this season. And I cannot believe, before even 10 games this season, we are talking about big 6-pointers, must-win games, but that's just the state that we're in at the minute. Wolves away from home on October the 2nd on Saturday. Andy, I'll come to you on this one first. What do you think we need to do from the previous game against Watford to try and get a good result in this game?
I think definitely keeping the 4 back, because I think, if I'm right, Wolves play a 5 back. I think the main concern is going to be Adama Traore running at Richie. Richie hasn't got the pace anymore. I think so. It's going to be a lot of just trying to chop him down. I know there was a clip, I think the club put it on their TikTok, of Miggy chasing back Adama Traore and somehow powering him off the ball. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But again, it's going to be, if Callum Wilson's still not there, it's going to be a lot of relying on Maximin. And like you were saying, how you got frustrated at him, it's all he can do. And like Adam said, with the players around him at the minute, he is the furthest player forward. So he's having to do that, having to just run at people to try and create a chance. And Wolves have got some good players in that back line. They've got Nelson Semedo, Connor Cody's a brilliant centre-half. So it's good. We're going to have a really hard job. I think it's going to be a very counter-attacking game from both sides, with the pace Wolves have got. And to be honest, the quality Wolves have got going forward levels ours about 10 times. So it's just again, but it's a game away from home. It's another scapegoat for Bruce, really. But then again, like we've said before, which games do you look forward to in the future for a win? So
yeah, no, I completely agree. Rob, I'll come to you next on this one. You mentioned a few changes in the next game, but what do you think in terms of sort of tactics, it will be a very sort of similar tactical game. Would you stay with a back four? Would you maybe try starting Dwight Gale? Would you keep Joe Linton in the middle? Those sort of things.
I mean, as you say, I think four at the back's the way to do it. Again, the only one thing I would potentially say is it's tough because we need a striker on the pitch. We need to put a striker on the pitch. So the only option is play Gale there or possibly stick Joe Linton in there. But again, it's not necessarily. We don't need any more running. St. Max will do all the running. We just need someone to stand on the penalty spot and kick the ball in the net. You look at the example when St. Max really should have shot first time and scored, but when he took it around the keeper and the player and then laid it off to Longstaff, I mean, he's had to bust a gut to run 50 yards to have at least one person in the box. That's where Gale or Wilson or someone should be stood 90% of the game for those sideways ball tap-ins. If St. Max had that pass on, we'll talk about him trying to take on the whole team. If he had someone alongside him, maybe he wouldn't have to. So am I going to say put Gale on from the start? I mean, we've not seen enough of him, but maybe give him the second half. Maybe start him and take him off at half time. If it doesn't work, I think we need to try and play with a striker because with St. Max playing in the other half on his own and the nearest support he's got is Longstaff running 50 yards it's not good enough if we want to score. I mean, that's the thing. If we're going to go to this game and take another 0-0, 1-1, then we'll probably have enough to do that, I would say. But if we want to actually go there and actually score some goals and try and get 3 points, we need to have another attacking player on the pitch.
Definitely with Dwight Gale as well. I think when he does come off the bench, bar the last game, he is good and he has proven to score goals. Adam, once again, you'll be travelling to the game. You've said that you want to go to every single game this season. You dedicated man. What are you expecting from the crowd this game?
Just probably the same as Watford, really. I mean, Wolves fans, I've been down a couple of times before, and they're nothing special, really. But Newcastle themselves have a good record with the Molyneux. I mean, I can't remember the last time Wolves beat with her. I know for a fact the last 5 or 6 matches have been 1-1s, both teams. I mean, it better not be all 1-1. I'm sick of death of those. But in this game, though, Newcastle, like I said before, need to start well. We need to get them quite early on. But my only problem being that we can't take chances. So it's just one of those games, really. I think it'll be quite an even game. I think Wolves are also struggling quite a lot like Newcastle. I know they picked up a couple of decent results, but they still can't win games. And I think in the match itself, I mean, it's just one of them, really. I think both teams are turn up. I think both teams are struggle. I don't know which one's going to do it. It better be Newcastle, that's what I'm going to say. But, I mean, I wouldn't want to draw, but it's not the worst thing that could happen. But if Wolves beat us, then we're going to be screwed because they're going to literally leapfrog over us and we'll be in the bottom 3. So, yeah, it's quite a big match. I don't know if I say it's a 6-pointer, but I think it's definitely an important match in terms of obviously getting the pressure off you nice and early on. But in terms of Gale starting, I personally wouldn't start Gale because all we do is lump the ball. And again, Gale's just not going to win those headers. Gale's better getting behind defenders than passing the ball to him. But we're not getting the ball enough in the final third to be doing that, though. So we'll see how things go. But I personally started Julian to begin with. And he does nothing in the game. I'll probably switch Gale on half time.
Yeah, I completely get what you mean. We'll go around the room for a little score prediction before we end the podcast. So, Andy, I'll come to you first. I saw everyone's mics like unmuted at the same time. Andy, score prediction from you, pal.
I'm going to be the negative Nelly, and I'm going to say 2-0 Wolves.
2-0 Wolves. What's your reasoning for that?
They're going forward better than us. They've got better quality going forward, and we've shown that we've struggled defensively. I mean, we were lucky not to lose yesterday after that. Obviously the goal getting ruled out by VAR, and I think Adama's just going to have Richie's life on that right hand side for Wolves.
I forgot about Adama Traore. Let's hope he doesn't have Richie's life. Richie, I thought he did all right against Sarr, apart from all the diving and that. Rob, you next. A quick score prediction.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be positive today. I haven't been in the last few games. I'm gonna go 1-0 win to us. I just think it's the last game before the international break. I think the player, we always seem to like to do this, will be terrible, and then just when you think something might happen, Bruce sacked or something, will somehow clinch a win from nowhere. So I'm gonna go 1-0 to us. Yeah,
it's got that sort of feeling, doesn't it? Adam, coming to you next. Once again, it's a very weird away section, isn't it, at Wolves? Because it's like on the side of the ground and it loops all the way around in like a crescent sort of way, innit? What's your score prediction for this game?
I'm going to be confident. I think Newcastle will get one over Wolves. I'm going to put down a win 3-1. I think the attack will actually do its job, and I think the team will handle Adama Traore. I mean, we did well against Saul yesterday for the majority of the part. I mean, Adama Traore is a quick player. He's strong, but I don't rate him one bit. He's got no one product, and I think we'll have a great time. I mean, I don't know why you got his head shaking.
I love it, Adam.
Oh, Adam, like
we're gonna win the game.
I love the ambition.
So do I.
3-1, mate. You said 3-0 against West Ham. We got beat 4-2. You said I think like 3-0 against Wolves as well. Or not Wolves, sorry, against Leeds. I mean, if it does come off, then completely fair play to you, mate. And I might have to stick an acca on.
I hope you're right, Adam. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to say 0-0 on this one. Adam was talking about how both teams are really struggling, going into the international break. Rob, I'm sorry, I don't agree with what you say. I think it's just really, really, maybe not a boring 0-0 draw, but just, everyone won't be able to finish their dinner. And it's just going to be frustrating for both sides. But yeah, that is all we have today for the podcast. It's been an absolutely cracking one once again. Hopefully we will be able to bring you a win at one point this season, but at the minute, it's not looking very likely, is it? But yeah, thanks so much to everyone who tuned into the podcast today. We will be back next week to cover the Wolves game. But yeah, once again, thanks so much, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.